Shadow Communications Minister Melissa McIntosh is also the member for Lindsay here in Sydney. She actually met with the boss of Optus, Stephen Roux, this week. Good morning to you, Melissa.
Good morning, Hamish.
I know you had some difficulty getting this meeting. Did you come away better informed? Do you understand where Optus is coming from? Are you satisfied that they're on top of this problem?
No, and no. Thank you for that question, because I have been pushing really hard, and Optus only really wanted to give me the government relations person, and we put some pressure on because I did have some, I feel, important questions on behalf of Australians, like how can this even happen in a big organisation like Optus? And in our discussion, and the CEO didn't want to say much to me yesterday before the investigation, it's a process issue and it's human error. So basically somebody has stuffed up. And how can somebody mess their job up so badly that it results in an outage where hundreds of people couldn't call 000 and sadly people lost their lives? That's not good enough. And as you said in your opening, it's not just Optus experiencing these outages, it's across the board, and that's why I've been fighting really hard for an independent investigation. I don't think it's good enough that the government's put up ACMA, the regulator, when they're actually involved with the failed process.
I know you've expressed a view that the penalties for 000 outages are too low. What are the penalties currently? What do you think they should be?
I asked the Optus CEO yesterday. You can imagine he was really enthusiastic when I asked if his penalties should go from $10 million, which is about to come into place, to $20 million. He didn't express my views that should happen, but I think we need to do everything we can. It's not working now. Whatever the penalties are on these big telcos, these things are still happening. So if it's no changes at 10 million, well, let's double that. Let's do anything we can to make sure Australians can make that call. And I asked him another question around the preparedness of Optus and his confidence approaching the disaster season, and that this isn't going to happen when we have bushfires and all sorts of things going on. And I didn't get a satisfactory answer on that too. And it's not just Optus. Again, is Telstra ready? TPG, all the telcos ready for the upcoming season?
Isn't there a broader issue, though, here, Melissa McIntosh, which dates back well beyond this government, around the network changes that all of the telecom companies have been involved with, which means that there are big black spots, not just in regional and rural areas, but on the fringes of big cities like Sydney. You represent an electorate that has some sort of rural, urban fringe areas in it. We hear all the time from people right here in Sydney saying, look, if there was an emergency, if there was a bushfire, if there was a flood, I know I wouldn't be able to get through.
You're right. And the telcos, when I spoke with them, I spoke with TPG the other week, the CEO there, who was happy to have a meeting, did express concern around the changes in technology. And because of what has been going on quite quickly over recent times, there are gaps. And of course, the infrastructure upgrades need funding, government funding. So those towers need to be maintained. And the Nats have a big push on that. And we've got a regional shadow communications minister particularly looking at this. And now we have satellites in the sky. And these satellites aren't Australian-owned, they're foreign satellites. So when we have more reliance on them, is that going to cause more issues? So it's very complex, it's highly regulated, but there are gaps and things are happening that shouldn't be happening.
I know this has sort of become a bit of a political football. I'm just trying to explore whether actually governments over time haven't really thought some of this stuff through properly in terms of what obligations they impose on the telecoms as they do upgrade that technology and, as you pointed out, build out the infrastructure. Like, I remember covering the Lismore floods a couple of years ago, communities that were cut off, the ADF hadn't arrived, no one was there to help them. The one thing they did have was Starlink, provided by Elon Musk.
Yeah, you're right. And I think you're right on that. And you're also right on asking questions around governments. I'm concerned around regulation that may not be working. So the telco sector is the most highly regulated. But is it the right regulation? Is it time that we have a real look into whether what government is doing to regulate is effective? we now have a custodian coming in, which is the Secretary of the Department of Communications overseeing ACMA, the regulator. And this was a big thing. We had legislation going through, pushed really fast through Parliament, excuse me, on this. But is that going to change the outcome? Does it make it more effective and the system robust? I don't know if that is the answer. I think that's why we need to have an inquiry and a Senate inquiry to look into the whole ecosystem from the handsets to the satellites to the telco providers to the regulation, and really get to the depth of this.
Melissa McIntosh is here, Shadow Communications Minister, member for Lindsay here in Sydney. You will have seen this in the news. We've been hearing all morning New South Wales Police are investigating these reports that deepfake pornography images have been generated using the faces of female students from one Sydney high school. Allegedly, they're being circulated online. What do you make of this in your Shadow Communications with that hat on?
Yeah, and my mum had on. Like, it's just that's the most scary thing for a parent to think that could happen to your child or to anyone. And it is a really serious issue, and it's abhorrent. And the government announced in September they would restrict access to apps that create these gross images and nudity and all those sorts of things. And I'd like to see that happen quite quickly, and the states have their laws. We just need to do everything we can to protect people, particularly when it's deep fakes. It's not their images. This can ruin lives, and particularly young teenage girls getting caught up in this. It's a very deep issue. It's a real horrible issue, and involves schools, involves the law, and it does involve governments to do their job.
But the New South Wales government had already taken action. Laws passed state parliament last month outlawing the creation of deepfake pornography images. Is the law capable of keeping on top of this?
It's really hard, Hamish, as you know, that governments are doing everything they can. It's almost like playing catch up in some ways, whack-a-mole, that these issues emerge so quickly, and now we have AI coming on so fast that we need to protect our citizens, but the laws may not be doing that quick enough. So there is a responsibility on the platforms as well to do what they can, and perhaps they are not at this stage. So I'd like to see there's a work that's getting done on digital duty of care by the Albanese government, and the previous minister promised that last year. It's been a year. I'd like to see this addressed in that, and that to happen quickly.
Melissa McIntosh, I know this is outside of your portfolio, but we're seeing reports this morning, confirmation in fact from the Army Chief of Joint Operations, Vice Admiral Justin Jones, that he held a teleconference with his US counterparts this week about the possibility of our troops heading to Gaza in some kind of peacekeeping role as part of this international stabilisation force. Obviously, that would be a decision for the government. Does the opposition support that?
It's a big decision for the government because they're our troops, and the coalition's position is that there shouldn't be any commitment on the ground before Hamas is dismantled. And we've seen over the last days, executions in public. It's really unstable. So,
how do you get?
It needs to be in our national interest if any troops were sent there.
But how do you get both Israeli forces out and Hamas out without an international force?
Well, we didn't even participate in the peace summit in Egypt. So why does Australia have to step in? I think it's really important that there is stabilisation there before any Australian troops are committed. And our Prime Minister is off overseas again. He needs to be focused on the big issues impacting Australians at home.
Well,
it's a really good question.
He's about to go to Washington for a meeting with Donald Trump, which your party's been saying that he's needed to do all year.
Good on him. Good on him. Let's see that. How many days have we been waiting? And maybe these big questions need to be discussed, these really important issues. And I hope the Prime Minister has our best interests at heart. And it's been a long-awaited meeting, and we do support him meeting with the President.
Melissa McIntosh, thank you very much.
Thanks, Hamish.